everyone and welcome to my 14th Patreon funded how-to video. This month I'm going to show you how to thread a yarn needle with fluffy yarn. Now usually anybody who has difficulty with this will have gone out and got some sort of tool to help them do it, but those tools disappear pretty fast and then suddenly you're left without any way of threading your needle. So I'm going to show you how to do this with just your hands on the fly. And what I have here, as I say, is some super fluffy yarn. It's a single ply, which is the trickiest one to actually thread through a needle. And I have a little bodkin here as well, a little yarn needle. This one's blunt, doesn't matter one way or another. The key to this is that you can get fluffy yarn or big yarn through a relatively small eyed needle like this one here. So here's how we're actually going to do it. First things first, don't suck the yarn. All that's going to do is going to get you wet yarn and fluff in your mouth, and neither of those is going to be very helpful. So instead what we're actually going to do is just fold the yarn over the needle like so and pinch it. So we pinch it very, very, very close just to the base of the fold there. So you just see a tiny little bit visible with the needle inside. Then you give the needle a bit of a wiggle. And what this does actually is to straighten out all of the threads in the yarn itself. So all the individual fibres will sort of flatten out and settle quite nicely. So once you take your needle out, you actually have a very small piece of colour there, which is the same shape as the eye of your needle. So instead of it actually being a cylinder, like the yarn itself is, you have flattened it out and you've made it the same shape that you actually need. After that, it's just a question of doing two things simultaneously, really. What you're going to do is slowly part your fingers and wiggle your needle down over the fold itself. Now this may take a few goes to try, but it is definitely worth giving the practice to because it's worth the knack. So here we go, we're going to take our needle here, rest it right on top of that tiny little fold, and then slowly separate your fingers and wiggle the needle down into it. Now what that does is immediately gives you all of your yarn through the eye of the needle itself. So when we can pinch that and pull, everything comes through first time. What's great about this particularly is that we don't have any of those ends. We've no ends left on the wrong side of the needle. You know, those little balls you end up with sometimes if you pull some through and not all the rest of it. So it is actually fantastic for normal yarn as well, but it certainly makes threading fluffy yarn like this an absolute breeze. So I hope you do give it a go. If you do, let me know in the comments below this video or over on my Patreon page. And remember, videos like this are only possible with your help, so please do consider visiting my Patreon page and consider making a pledge. Thanks a million for watching. I'll see you next month.